Imagine looking in the mirror and seeing yourself as bigger than you really are, and there's no amount of reassurance or physical evidence to change your mind. You truly believe that you are that size. This is a common occurrence in people who suffer from anorexia. And while we typically think about anorexia as being purely an eating disorder, characterized by having a reluctancy to eat and gain weight, it's important to remember this other diagnostic criteria for the disorder, which is having a distorted representation of your body. About 95% of the clinical population of anorexic patients are female. However, there's a different type of body representation issue called muscle dysmorphia, and this occurs more frequently in males than in females. Muscle dysmorphia is characterized by the belief that you're smaller than what you really are, and it's been fittingly named the male anorexia. However, you might be sitting there thinking to yourself, well, I don't have anorexia, I don't have muscle dysmorphia, so I must have an accurate representation of my body. The interesting thing, though, is that that's not entirely true, and that's where my research comes in. When I first stumbled upon a paper that suggested that healthy individuals have incredibly distorted representations of their own hands, I was intrigued, mainly because if we don't understand what the backs of our hands look like, what does that say about how well we know the rest of our bodies? But also, what does that say about people who actually do suffer from body representation issues? So I decided to focus my research on this, using the hand as a model to study body representation. And I do this by asking my participants to place their hands up underneath a table, which I then cover with a black tablecloth so they can't see their hand. And I ask them then to point to where they think 10 different locations are on their hands. And for each of those points, I receive an XY coordinate. And from each of those coordinates, I can actually map out a picture of how people perceive their hands. And you can see those hand maps on the right side of my slide. What I find is that yes, we do have distorted representations of our hands. However, males and females do not perceive their hands in the same way. Females overestimate how wide they think their hands are. Males do not. Males underestimate how long they think their fingers are, especially when you compare them to a female population. And what's so intriguing about this is no one in my study reported having anorexia or muscle dysmorphia, but my results here closely align with the clinical population for both those two disorders. And what this suggests is that the default body representation for females is overestimated, and males have a default body representation that's underestimated. And that's why when these problems occur and these things become exaggerated, we see such big sex differences in these two disorders. A common saying is know it like the back of your hand, but my research would suggest that we don't know the backs of our hands at all. Thank you.